has in store for us, starting right here, right now at Portimao in Portugal. It's race one, it's the Saturday race, 2 races per weekend, a 6-round championship, concluding at Estoril, back here in Portugal, in the middle of October. But for now, it's the end of March. It's a beautiful, beautiful spring day. 22 degrees Celsius ambient temperature, 23 degrees Celsius track temperature, humidity levels of 39%. Season 4 last year was something quite splendid, the closest ever margin at the end of the campaign. Gonzalo Sanchez won the most races, but he ended the campaign 3 points behind the champion, Mark Vick, from Mallorca, who has now stepped up with Gonzalo Sanchez and with Cameron Swain as well, the Australian, to the Supersport 300 World Championship, and they're racing here this weekend in Portugal. A real initiative here with the Yamaha BLU CRU. Road racing and off-road. It's going from strength to strength, and indeed Aldi Mahendra, Yamaha BLU CRU member, was the world champion in Supersport 300 last year, and he's now stepped up to World Supersport. The thing that will change for 2026 here in the World SBK paddock is that Supersport 300 will be no more. We'll have a new sport bike category, and there are plenty of initiatives here in the BLU CRU to award riders moving up through the ranks over the next few years. So this is the grid for race 1 of 2025, following the Superpole qualifying session here on Friday. And it's Mario Sales, one of the regulars, taking his 2nd career pole position. Happy 18th birthday yesterday to Alex Di Persio. He joins him on the front row, and also up there on the front row is the American, Chris Clark. He's got experience over in the States, Supersport 300 World Championship experience as well. Watch out for Chris Clark, who's on the 3rd position slot on the grid. There is the full grid, 18 riders in total. And the point system exactly the same as in MotoGP and World Superbike. 25 for the win, 20 for 2nd, 16 for 3rd, down to 1 for 15th position. Greg Haynes with you, and on behalf of Ian Wheeler, Ollie Rushby, all of us here at Yamaha, we welcome you along to a new campaign. Such a great season last year, wasn't it, with that campaign-long fight between Sanchez, who started the season so dominantly, and Mark Vick, who came good towards the end of the season, and a nail-biter at Aragon to decide the title in the very last race of the year. What's going to happen this year, I wonder? We've got a real mix of newbies, but also some of the more experienced riders as well, as they get away on what will be the final warm-up lap. This is not the race start, this is the warm-up lap, and away they go with Sales leading away from what will be his pole position. Di Persio got that surprise on the paddock show stage last night for his 18th birthday celebrations, and was absolutely delighted with that. Chris Clark, it's going to be interesting to see what Chris can do. Chris, who's shown some unbelievable skills off the track as well, with his abilities with a Rubik's Cube, and it's something I'm sure we'll see on our Yamaha channels across the course of the season. But it's quite mad, actually. He can do a Rubik's Cube in 8 seconds. He can do the whole thing, and he can do it 17 seconds blindfolded. Does a bit of juggling as well, so maybe if his bike racing career doesn't work out, we'll see him in the circus in future years. But it's great to see an American here in the R3 World Cup. There's a final reminder, look at that, of the weather conditions. Not a cloud in sight here in Portugal, as they make their way around the left-hander now, which is turn 6 into 7 and then 8 over the brow of the hill and down through the spectacular Craig Jones corner here at Portimao. Quite a few changes, not just in terms of the lineup, but also even our logo for the championship this year as well. The BLU CRU logo has been updated now, and it's reflecting our BLU CRU presence in Moto2, with the Pramac Yamaha Moto2 team there, as I'm sure regular viewers of MotoGP will have seen already in Thailand and Argentina, and of course Austin, Texas so far this weekend. Tony Arbolino and Ethan Guevara, the former Moto3 world champion, contesting the Moto2 World Championship this year with the BLU CRU effort. So keep an eye on them as well across the course of this 2025 campaign. They're at the highest point of the circuit now. This is turn 13, and then we're into the long, almost never-ending right-handers of 14 and 15 on what is a spectacular up and down, elevating, using the natural contours of the land, 4.6 kilometre, 2.8 mile clockwise layout here on the Atlantic Algarve southern coast of Portugal. Where are we going this year? Well, we've got Misano for round 2. Donington Park will be round 3, so that's Italy and the UK. And then new Balaton Park circuit in Hungary. That's going to be a new one for everybody, and that'll be very, very hot as well in the middle of July. Aragon ended the season last year, if you remember, with that really tense finale. That's the penultimate round this year, and Estoril will bring the curtain down on 2025, as I said before, in the middle of October. Incidentally, we had the super finale, if you remember, at Estoril at the end of last year, and that was won by the Italian Emanuele Pastore, and as a result of that, he's been gifted a ride here in the R3 World Cup for 2025. Spoke to him earlier on, wasn't completely pleased with his qualifying performance, but he's still up there on the third row of the grid, is Pastore, in 9th place, so watch out for him shooting through. Here we go then. Mario Sales is on the pole position, and we are all ready to go for 2025. This is it. This is the moment they've been waiting for. De Percio was fastest in Misano testing earlier on in March, so watch out for him as well. Second on the grid. Red lights on then, and the R3 BLU CRU World Cup of 2025 is go here at Portimao in Portugal. Okanuki, the Japanese rider, had a big wheelie there from the middle of row 2, and it's absolutely locked together on the first run down to turn 1 in the new season. It's a 9-lap race here. Blink and you will miss it. Sales wants to keep himself out of trouble if he possibly can. De Percio's in there. It was his 18th birthday here on Friday, and he's looking for a good, strong start to the season as they come up through the left-hander of turn 4 and down the back straight to the hairpin of turn 5 for the first time. And it's Tepai Kugawa who is up there, the Japanese rider on his debut, is leading, but coming under a big attack already from Chris Clark. Number 5, he's made a good start. He was third on the grid. He's second now as they power out of the VIP hairpin through the kink at 6 and down to the right-hander at turn 7. It's a nice, clean start. There's always concern here at Portimao that we're going to get trouble on the opening lap, and there's a bit of shuffling going on in the background there as they tip it right for turn 8. I hope they all got through cleanly. I think everybody's still running, and look at that. You can't even see where the track goes as they go over the top, down through the compression at Craig Jones corner, and up over the other side into Portimao corner. Chris Clark has a big look, and a big movement going on in the background as well. Sitting up there is Mario Sales, and he loses that 4th position to the number 38 of Araya Gasca comes through, the Indonesian rider, and we know how aggressive the Indonesian riders can be. We've seen the likes of Galang Hendra and Aldi Mahendra, last year's Supersport 300 world champion, and down goes one of our R3s already. That's our first faller of the season, and it's Okanuki who's lost it there, coming out of the left-hander, the 17-year-old from Japan. He might be able to rejoin, but his chances of scoring points in the top 15 are all but gone unless there's drama ahead of him. So Okanuki is down already. He's okay, and he's trying to rejoin the race. I'll let you know if he has rejoined. It will come up on our timing screen here in the commentary box. 1 lap down, 8 to go, and we're certainly back in action, aren't we? Chris Clark with the stars and stripes. You can see where the headlamp stickers are on the bike, where they would be on the road-going equivalent. There's a headlamp equivalent on one side, but the rider's nationality on the other with the flags, and Okanuki did not rejoin, as you can see for yourself. What bitter disappointment for the Japanese rider, who qualified well yesterday. He didn't make a good start. Remember, I pointed out he had a big wheelie off the line from the middle of row 2, and I don't know whether he had contact or he fell off by himself, but that was turn 13, unlucky for some, and certainly for him. Okay, let's try and go 5 abreast, shall we, on the run down to the VIP hairpin. Oh, they're all going to get through here. Throw the anchor out, heavy on the brakes, and we really are back underway. This is splendid stuff. We've got a leading group officially at the moment of 16 riders out of the 18 who started. Tip it right as the track drops away through turn 7, and now we're climbing up through 8. You can see on the graphics on the left-hand side the winners and losers off the grid is Angelo Motola, the Italian, on the AG Motorsport Italia bike. Stunning start for him. He's up from the back of the grid after problems in qualifying to the top 10 already. So watch out for Mottler as he tries to cut through. Based in Cainello in Italy. This is the highest point of the track. Chris Clark still very much in contention. I thought there was going to be contact there between the 4th and 5th place riders, but they managed to sort it out somehow. A lot of movement going on, isn't there? Kugawa there, the Japanese rider, number 26. One of the newcomers in the championship this year. This is the R3 World Cup, and there are many R3 championships around the world of different nations and different regions. Emanuele Pastore jumped the start, and he's been given a double long lap penalty for that, so things go from bad to worse. I said he wanted to make it ground. The super finale winner from last year, qualified 9th, had problems yesterday. He was too eager to get away, and he jumped it. He moved before the lights went out, so Pastore will be given a long lap penalty, and right out onto the curbs on the outside of turn 1. That was David Novak, the lifelong Valentino Rossi fan. That's why, obviously, he carries number 46 on the front of his bike. Now, he's one of the regulars in the class. We know David very well, the rider from Poland, multiple winner in the past in this category, and up there on the podium on 3 occasions in total. Certainly one of the favourites, I would suggest, for the title this year. He'll certainly hope that he is, based on what he's done in previous campaigns. Indy Sunsalar now sets the fastest lap of the race on the first flying lap of the race. Indy, the rider from the Netherlands, is running at the moment on his number 27 machine in 8th position. And don't forget, watching on the sidelines are the R3 World Cup riders from last year. Mark Vick, the champion. He'll be starting his Supersport 300 World Championship race later on this afternoon. Cameron Swain, and we send our best wishes to Gonzalo Sanchez, who unfortunately had a crash yesterday in qualifying and has broken his left wrist. So he's walking around the paddock at the moment, is Gonzalo, in a sling, and we send him all the best. Look at that, running out wide there at the top of the screen, the rider in 6th position. That, again, was the number 38. I was mentioning him before. It's Araya Gaska, the rider from Indonesia. Now, up through 13. That's where Okanuki dropped out of the race on the opening lap. De Percio is number 69. Here they come towards us, turns 14 and 15. Ayman Bocanegra's made a good start as well. Number 23, the rider from Peru, but now racing under a Brazilian license, and it's been a really interesting situation for Ayman over the last few weeks in terms of which license he races under. He raced under a Peruvian license in 2024, a Spanish license for the Super Finale at the end of last season, and now racing underneath the nationality of Brazil for him because of his dual nationality. But he is based in Barcelona in Spain, so very much very international, Ayman Bocanegra. And he actually was, and a sit-up there for Chris Clark, who's forced out wide, number 5. Did well, actually, to get it back together and only lose 1 position. But it was Bocanegra who was involved in that controversial collision with Danny Ofeite, if you remember, on the final lap of the Super Finale at Estoril last year, and it shoved Ofeite out wide and really threw a spanner in the works and lost him in many ways last year's Super Finale. Alex De Percio's dropped back down now into 6th position. Novak is up to 2nd, and Mario Sales, number 42. Let's not forget him. He did start this race from pole. Very, very rarely do we see the rider on pole pull away and dominate a race. We saw a very curious case of that happening twice, if you remember, in the opening races of last season at Barcelona, when Gonzalo Sanchez was absolutely dominant. Remember that first race of last year? Sanchez beat Eduardo Burr by just over 11 seconds, which is almost unheard of in a race like this. I don't think this race is going to be won, I'm pleased to say, by 11 seconds, because this is great, great stuff. Just a 1/10 of a second at the moment between 1st and 2nd positions. Chris Clark there, almost making contact with Sales. He's running a little bit wide as a result of that. They may well drop into the clutches of the Japanese rider, Kugawa. He does, and he sweeps right round the outside. Now, the Japanese Championship is particularly aggressive. And we know those riders are very, very good, very much like the Brits, in wet weather conditions. So if we get any rain later on in the season, watch out for the likes of Kugawa, Okanuki and co. as they look to fight their way through the field. Just 5 laps remaining then. This is lap 5 of 9 here in the season opener of 2025, and 17 riders of the 18 who started are still running. Ginés is the rider in the background who's dropped back after incidents earlier in the race. So number 35, Aleix Ginés from Spain, is running but on his own at the back of the field. Okanuki is out, first lap incident. But the rest of the field, as you can see for yourself, are all locked together. 16 riders here running in tandem at Portimao, all, according to the rules, aged between 14 and 20, having made their way up through the ranks in the various R3 BLU CRU initiatives around the world. Spain, France, the Benelux region, Italy, Thailand, and South America all have their own series. And very, very competitive prices as well to enter this championship. 30,500 euros for your full kit and entry. That would have been a big move there at Craig Jones' corner. Kagawa is attacking, but now there's number 38 getting in on the act as well. How many riders have led this race so far? Araya Gasca then, the rider from Indonesia, looking to follow in the footsteps of Aldi Mahendra. Look how they disappear down the hill at turn 12 and up the other side to 13. Now let's just watch carefully now over the next few laps to see if the lead changes between the last corner and the finish line. We've certainly seen that happening before. Remember when Ana Carrasco made history by becoming the first ever female winner of a solo FIM road racing event in 2018, right here in Supersport 300. She was behind coming out of the last corner, but she slipstreamed her way through on the run to the line. Very, very good run for the leader this time. No one's getting anywhere near Agasca. Now they do. But if that had been the last lap, he would have comfortably won the race. Pastore is still in 7th position, and I fear Emanuele, the winner of last year's Super Finale, has not seen the board for his double long lap penalty. And if he hasn't, he might be facing disqualification or further time penalties at the end of this race. Oh, contact there as they come through the Lagos corner at turn 3. Novak had already been forced wide, I noticed, coming out of turn 1. And 2 more riders falling right back. Salvatore Germano here, number 44, the 18-year-old from Italy, goes right to the back of the pack, and someone else was out wide with him there. They did a very good job, actually, to keep going and not drop out of the race completely. Troy Savitka is up there as well, the Czech rider, the 16-year-old with Smerts Racing. Jakob Smerts, of course, very much involved in the paddock in Supersport 300 as a team owner, and of course a former World Superbike rider and British Superbike rider for that matter. Over the top again, back down to Craig Jones' corner, and Chris Clark now really does have the momentum and has the advantage on the track as well, from Fairfax in Virginia, not too far away from the US capital of Washington, DC. His dream, quite simply, he says, get to the top and race in World Superbike. Racing the number 5 as it's his favourite American football player's number, and that's Jaden Daniels for the Washington Commanders. And that's why Chris is running 5 and down, down, down. 2 of them are down at turn 13, and Mario Salas was very much in the mix there. Novak is out. Pastore, I believe, has gone as well. There is Novak closest to us, and Pastore in the gravel. Well, he might not ever need to do those double long lap penalties now for jumping the start. So down goes the Super Finale winner of last year, and David Novak as well. What a nightmare for David, who wanted as many points on the board as possible. He was 5th in the championship last year, and disappointed to be 5th in the championship last year. And he's going to start off, by the looks of things, with nil points at the beginning of 2025. Chris Clark leads then. This is lap 7 already, just 3 to go here now. And the pace is hot. They are lapping now quicker than they have in the entire race so far. We're into the final third now. So if the race were to be stopped for any reason, it would not be restarted and full points would be awarded. hope you're enjoying this one wherever you are watching, be it on the Yamaha Racing Blue Crew page or perhaps on Discovery Plus in the UK. If you oh dear, that could have been very nasty indeed. What a save that was. There's been so many brushes in the race so far, and I have to say, I know there's been a couple of incidents, but generally speaking, they've been doing an amazing job to keep it going up to the top. Oh, Chris Clark on the inside, 26, Kugawa, the Japanese rider, on the outside. And Chris Clark is absolutely determined to win this race. Boccanegra is the 5th rider in the train. There's a big gap back now to Jean Kento Turner, the Japanese rider. Number 3 in 6th place. He could close in on the leading group, but he's going to need to ride very hard indeed to keep up with them. Watch out for Gene. Can he close in? There he is at the bottom of the screen. Look at the back of the pack. He's the first rider in that second group, is Gene Turner. You may be wondering why his name is Gene Turner, considering he's from Japan. Well, his father is actually from New Zealand, and we're seeing this more and more now. Many of the riders in this category of dual nationality, and that's why we sometimes see them swapping race licenses and racing under a different flag from time to time, from one season to the next. Down the start finish. Chris Clark on the left, 26. Kugawa, absolutely locked together. 5 abreast almost as we get down into the braking zone of the first corner. And this is very much a dress rehearsal now for next time round. But if they keep holding each other up like this, you will see the second group closing. Yes, look, you can see it. They've caught them in the braking zone of turn 3. There was a bit of a gap down into turn 1, and it's absolutely evaporated. And we are back to 14 riders, all locked together. There'll be even more in the mix as well, because Charlie Mendes had a nasty high side I saw when I was watching practice on Friday. Just coming out of this next corner here at turn 5. I was chatting with him last night, the rider from the Dominican Republic. He's out of action, he's okay, he's in the paddock, but he took a nasty bump when he came down, and he'll be back in action next time. So Charlie Mendes will be a quick contender for the title this season. And of course, what he will need is for not the same person to win the 2 races here. What a lap this has been so far, though, from the leader. Look at him, pulling away. Agaska from Indonesia. He's half a second ahead here. I'm not going to make the ridiculous suggestion that the others need to work together, but quite frankly, they do, because they do not want him to get away. Half a second is not going to be enough, though. You could see that evaporate as you make your way to the line. Agaska leads. Kugawa now of Japan is in second place. Chris Clark has a look at Sales. Sales is number 42 from Brazil. Where's the leader going? That's a very novel line from the 17-year-old. Some may argue that was a bit too defensive, and now the other 17-year-old is having a real go. Mario Sales, 17 years of age. Chris Clark is 18, the rider from Arlington. He's just gone up the inside. Great move. Chris Clark, who started 3rd, moved up to 2nd, then he led. Now he's dropped down to 4th, back to 3rd. And we're starting the final lap of the opening race of the season. Over the brow they come, and this is the last lap of race 1 for the Yamaha R3 Blue Crew World Cup this year. And it is anyone's guess. 14 riders locked together. Gonzalo Sanchez won race 1 in Barcelona last year by 11 seconds. What a different story we've got. At the start of 25, Chris Clark. How did he keep it going there? He was forced out onto the curb on the outside. It's the second time that's happened to him in this race. And again, he keeps it going. Up through the left-hand, a really important corner here. It leads you down to turn 5. And that's a big, big stop. De Percio's back in front. Turned 18 here in Portugal yesterday. Chris Clark's on the inside. The American, is he through? No, he's not. De Percio still leads. Chris Clark is in second place. Kugawa of Japan, he's in 3rd position. Look at Mario Sales going up the inside of... Oh, and the Indonesian comes up. Agaska's gone from 6th to 5th to 4th. And there's almost contact now. He's side by side with Mario Sales. Agaska, what a prospect from Indonesia this season. What a start to the season he's having. Nobody exceeding track limits. That's good news. Side by side at the front, De Percio and Chris Clark. And it's the rider from Washington in the States back in front. Agaska's up to 3rd. Runs a bit wide on the exit of Portimao corner, down the hill. Chris Clark with the advantage. Alex De Percio is in that 2nd place. And he has a big look, does De Persia, but I think he's going to sit in behind Chris Clark as we come through the penultimate corner on the last lap. This could change though before the line. We've seen so many slipstreaming battles to the line here at Portimao in the past, and we're going to see another one here. And Agasca's not out of this either. I think it's going to be one of the top three now because Boccanegra and Kugawa are too far behind. Salis drops down to 6th. I think Chris Clark's got this. Brilliant run out of the last corner. De Persio's coming, but Chris Clark's done it. Chris Clark, number 5, the 18-year-old American from the Supersport 300 World Championship and Moto America, comes into the R3 World Cup, qualifies on the front row of the grid, and the Stars and Stripes are on the top of the podium. We're going to hear the Star Spangled Banner playing out here in Portugal because Chris Clark has won the opening race on his debut in the championship for 2025, and what a race that was, with the top 7 riders covered by just 0.6 of a second and 11 riders separated by less than 2 seconds at the front of the race. And Chris, the Smerts Racing team, they won't believe this. He was delighted to qualify on the front row of the grid yesterday, said it couldn't really have gone better. He's had some tough times over the last few years, not least the North American Talent Cup. If you remember, he had a big crash at Turn 1 at Circuit of the Americas and was concussed. He's bounced back from those tough times. And Chris Clark wins the opener of 2025 in absolutely spectacular fashion. He's actually got a job, would you believe, as a cashier in a grocery store back in the States. And he does commute, very much like Garrett Gerloff, the World Superbike rider, across the pond for each of the races. I think the cashier job, Chris, when you're watching this back, this was probably a little bit more dramatic and required a little bit more concentration. What a race that was from you. And Alex De Persia, happy birthday again, Alex, for yesterday. And he banks a really solid 20 points here. And welcome to the championship, Agasca. Remember the name. Arai Agasca, the 17-year-old from Indonesia. Part, of course, of the Yamaha BLU CRU Indonesia initiative. And he is on the podium. Kugawa of Japan was 4th. Boccanegra now racing under that Brazilian flag, as I mentioned before. Peru before, but his Brazilian dual nationality sees him switch this year. He was 5th. Salis of Brazil in 6th position. Number 48, didn't talk about him. Marco Trilloli during the race managed to come up there to 7th position. Gene Turner was 8th. Danny Krabacher, nice guy, spoke to him in the paddock. The Austrian, he is inside the top 10, and that group is completed by Indy Sunsalar in 10th position. And the likes of Okanuki, Novak and Pastore coming away with no points there through their retirement. So we actually have the unusual situation of every finisher has scored points on this occasion. 15 riders, and there will be more joining as well later in the season. We have quite a few wildcards who are lined up for the numerous events we have across the course of this 2025 campaign, including Gian-Maria Ibidi, who was a real star, if you remember, last year. He's going to be wildcarding with us when we get to Donington. We'll have Ruben Montero Fuerte as well at Aragon as we move towards the closing stages of the season. But Chris Clark, what a great start to the season. Certainly an old head on young shoulders. I would suggest one of the calmer, more sensible riders in the field. Plenty of experience underneath him already. And he'll be going back to his English bulldog. Nacho, his name is, in the States. And I think very much enjoy taking him for his next walk after knowing he's just banked 25 points in the first race of the season. He is a man of many, many talents, though. I mentioned the juggling, the Rubik's Cube, working in that grocery store as well. He's also a software engineer. He's thinking of getting into mechanical engineering as well, is Chris. So plenty of options for the American as he now makes his way back into the pit lane. Of course, he's got one more race here. He can't quite yet enjoy that flight back to Fairfax in Virginia because he knows he's got another race here on Sunday. And he, of course, will lead the championship. Fastest laps from this race, incidentally, very much like the rules in Supersport and Supersport 300. The top 9 fastest laps decide the grid for race 2. The rest of them line up according to their qualifying times. The fastest lap was a 2:07.11, and that was the number 48, one of the newcomers. Marco Trilloli from Italy will start on pole position for tomorrow's race. So we're going to have a very different grid for tomorrow's race, and that will shake things up nicely again. And of course, the likes of Pastore, Novak and Okanuki with no points will be looking to get through and bank some points before we head off to round 2 next time out at Misano in Italy, after a big break actually of 3 months. We'll be back in action on the weekend of the 15th of June, the 14th and 15th of June for round 2. In he comes, the first North American winner. And it is Chris Clark who wins here. He'll be going down to have a chat in a moment with Ollie Rushby. Alex De Percio second. Agaska is third. Here's Alex De Percio. There's Ollie Rushby in the background there with a blue Yamaha shirt, just waiting with the microphone for the interview, and we'll hear from Ollie in a moment. But here's the results of the race. Clark winning by 1/10 of a second. Agaska, real aggression there. What a ride. Some incredible saves as well as the race went on. Stunning, stunning stuff. And look at the delight down there in Parc Fermé. There's that gap then of 1/10 from Clark back to De Percio. Agaska completing the podium. Kugawa was going well from Boccanegra. There's always drama wherever Ayman Boccanegra is. Mario Salas completing that top 6. And then Truioli 7th. But as I say, fastest lap. And he will therefore start on pole position for race 2 here on Sunday. And that will get away before all of the main programme here with the World Superbike Championship. A 10:05 start, so slightly earlier for race 2. That's 10 minutes earlier than today. It's a 10:05 start local time here in Portugal on Sunday. In terms of the championship, of course, it means we have exactly the same positions as the race. It's 25 points for the win. And there's Agaska, definitely looking to follow in the footsteps of his mate Aldi Mahendra, isn't he, as an Indonesian rider. There's Herbie Bash there from the board at Yamaha. Nicolo Canepa with his new sporting director role this year, taking over from Andrea Dossoli. Of course, Canepa, multiple winner, double world champion in endurance racing, as well as a former world superbike rider as well. And I think he's been very, very busy in that new sporting role so far this season with Yamaha, having been to Australia recently and now, of course, here at Portimao. Ollie Rushby ready, though, with the microphone, because Chris Clark is about to be greeted by him. What a superb start to the season for the American. Coming in from Motor America, he's done Talent Cup racing, as I said, during the race, and, of course, the Supersport 300 World Championship as well. Started third on the grid, was up to second at the beginning, if you remember, led briefly, pushed back down to fourth at one point, and aggressively fights his way back through to victory.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank my...
Chris.
Yeah?
Congratulations, you're the first North American winner of the Yamaha R3 Blue Crew World Cup. How was that?
It feels amazing. I don't know, it's my first race here, and I don't know, I'm just so thankful for my team, my mom, Michael Hill, and all my supporters for making this possible. Like, it's an incredible feeling, really. Like, yeah, I love seeing the smiles on my team's faces after a win. It's awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that's the first time I've really heard Chris Clark say his face was what an incredible race.
It's awesome indeed. Thanking Michael Hill there, who is his manager and also does all of his press and communication. You can hear Michael's voice there on the Paddock Show stage, which he presents here at World SBK in the background. What a ride from Chris Clark. We will be back on air then for race 2 here on Sunday. And let's see if Chris can make it a double, another 25 points available. Well, what a lovely story, though. The first, as Ollie said, North American winner in the R3 World Cup. Stay with us here on the stream because you can enjoy the podium ceremony. And many thanks from myself, Greg Haynes. I'll be back with you from the commentary box on Sunday. Chris Clark wins the opener in the Yamaha R3 Blue Crew World Cup of 2025. See you on Sunday.
This is a feature in all of the races that we have here, not just for the R3 Cup, but every single race that we have, World Cup Championship. And just wait now for the signal to be given. If we can change our screens, please, Joshua, ready for the podium. The riders are already coming, so if we can, please change the screens as quickly as possible. And we just wait then for the signal to be given. The opening race of the Yamaha R3 Blue Crew. In third place, Agaska. In second place, Alessandro De Percio. And the race win from the United States of America, Chris Clark. The presentations will be made by the Racing Senior Advisor for Yamaha Motor Europe, Mr. Michael Blash, and he is ready to begin with our trophy presentation. First race, first podium of the season for Aragon. Congratulations to the Indonesian rider. And now Mr. Blash will present the birthday boy from yesterday, 20 points, and the second place trophy to Alessandro De Persio. Points, that's going to be valuable in the championship. And now the race win, the 25 points, and the leader of the Yamaha Blue Crew World Cup in 2025 after the race win, Chris Clark. Incredible race from all three of these guys, leading it out of the final corner. And some nice words exchanged there between Chris and Herbie. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please, for the first time this season, your respect for the national anthem of the winning rider in the Yamaha Blue Crew World Cup, the national anthem of the United States of America. Portimao, make some noise for our top three. What a cracking race. If I could ask the riders, please, to stand together on the top step. We're going to move on with the next part of the podium. Thank you to Herbie. Let's get the riders for Aragon will get you to take a seat. Now let's bring on the birthday boy. First, let's give him a round of applause. 18 years of age yesterday, and he gives him